Welcome to the Composer Mindset. This is Daniel. I just completed this track. I'm calling it A Call to Arms. It seems fitting for this track. I hope you've been following along on my live streams on Twitch or catching up on YouTube. I have a bunch of sessions that I need to make available on YouTube for this track. After I finish this video, I'm going to just dump all of these sessions so they're all available right now, or as soon as I upload this. So I guess this is going to be the summary that I mentioned in my introductory video. So I finished this track. It took a lot longer than I expected. I think I'm still getting used to this format. Usually I just sort of dive in and write, and here I am talking and interacting with people as they jump into the Twitch stream, which is really fun, and I invite you to do so as well. So here, let me give a brief summary of this music and tell you what I think was working and what I think might not have been working. So I started this track with a simple line in the tuba, which was this. Now, just a second, I actually turned off my compressor. All right, here we go again. And I just sort of went and built from there. I guess I started off with brass, and the piece became sort of brass dominant, or brass, really featuring the brass. So I developed this idea in the brass. Let me bring in the brass section here. So that was just sort of the seed idea. Actually, this was where I started, but then as I went, it sort of seemed like this could have been a middle section. So I bumped everything over and just sort of went from there. So it became this very brass-heavy thing. In fact, what I'm going to do is solo the brass section from this part to the end, the entire brass section, and the choir, right? So it became sort of a choir brass feature. So let's hear that play out to the end. One thing that I did that I think was good with this piece was, I was able to pull this idea in a couple times. It's a short piece. It's only like 2.5 minutes, right? But this sort of seed idea and a couple other things that you'll hear in the brass, where I was able to bring them back in once or twice to, unify the piece and also give a little bit of variety. All right, so let's listen to that. So whole brass section and choir. And at this point, I introduced this pretty simple fanfare idea, But then as it progresses, that fanfare develops, but at the end, you'll hear again the low brass comes in with that sort of ba 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 ba, but it's developed, it's changed a little bit, right? This idea is something new, but then it comes back. So fanfare again with that other theme. All right, so now at this point that the piece has developed a little bit, I was able to bring in that first idea that I started with, the ba ba, and it's slightly different. I didn't do it exactly the same, but it's enough to unify things and also keep the piece developing and moving along. Now, in terms of what the other instruments are doing, the other instruments aren't featured really too much. They're just sort of helping along the brass and the choir, right? Just sort of filling out the sound, adding color, but it's truly the brass and the choir that drive this piece forward, right? So as I play the entire piece, and I think that's what I'm going to do now, play the whole thing from beginning to end, again, you'll hear the brass and the choir sort of, I guess, carrying the standard forward, and everybody else is just in support. And that's just the way it turned out with this piece. It doesn't have to be that way. It's just the way it is, what I decided on for this track. So let's listen to the entire thing, and then I'll give my critique of my own music. Again, I think some things are working really well, some things maybe not so much. Let's take a listen to the whole thing. All right, so here's what I think is working well. The energy and drive to the end is, I think, great. It's very exciting. It's very satisfying. It's super beefy and masculine, and it really hits those emotional notes, I think, pretty nicely. Um, I actually like that the brass is featured so much. Sometimes too much brass or too much woodwinds can be a little bit fatiguing on the ears. I was concerned about that. As I was working on it, but I was just like sitting here repeating this, listening to it again and again and again. Obviously, that's what you do when you're working on it. But I think it doesn't fatigue the ears. There's enough textural variety in there, especially when the fanfares are sort of doing this interplay back and forth, this call and response kind of thing. I think that keeps it interesting enough that it doesn't really fatigue the ears so much. But maybe if it went on for another minute like this, it would be dying for a change in featured instrument or instrument family. Um, and I actually like the simplicity of it. I tend to overwrite, do too much. So the fact that it's not like terribly sophisticated, but it still works. It's I think I'm digging that. Here's what I don't like. A few things. I think I could have done better with some of the programming, especially some of the releases on the brass instruments. They don't seem quite as tight, or uh, maybe they're. What am I trying to say? It seems like in some spots it's overhumanized. Maybe I made it too loose. In other spots it should have been more tight. Right? It's maybe the ensemble isn't working together as much as they should have been. The beginning overall, I think, is a little uninspired. I don't know. In terms of writing, that's not moving me so much as some of the other stuff. What I struggled with in this was definitely keeping control of some of the choir, especially some of these fast choir gestures. This was a real bear. A real choir would be able to bang that out just right. Doing that with programming is, you just reach a point of diminishing returns really fast. So yeah, I think in some spots I might have gone a little overboard with the humanization. Maybe it should be a little bit more tight, a little bit tighter. It probably could have been a bit more expressive. I think what I'm moving on. I'm moving on with this, right? This one's not for a project. I'm not getting paid for this. There's no director breathing down my back, down my neck, telling me it should be one way or another. And I'm excited to move on to the next project. So it's always a learning experience no matter what you do. And it's always good to give yourself a critique, say what's working, what's not working, so you know what to improve for next time. So next time I think I'm going to try to do better with the humanization, do better with some of the expression. This one's a bit like in your face when I probably could have gotten a little bit more musicianship, musicality out of some of the programming. We'll see how it goes with the next track. I'm going to be doing this animated short, and I hope I can get OBS to cooperate so I can show you the video and my project session like this, and not have too many problems with dealing with streaming and screen recording at the same time. Anyway, I'm learning. I hope you're enjoying this. Please send me any feedback if you want to come on, talk about your own music, talk about my music, talk about music, film scoring, game scoring, anything you want. I invite you to join me live on Twitch. I'm trying to do this every weekday at 1:30 Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Pacific time every weekday. I'm also trying to hop in some evenings and some weekends too whenever I can. And I'm posting all this stuff to YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook, I set up a Patreon account. I hope you'll support me there. I want to do this so that we can all get something out of it. And I think that's going to be it for now. So thanks for watching. This track is called Call to Arms. I'll put it up on YouTube, and I'll put a link to my site so you can check it out. Thanks for watching. This is Daniel with the Composer Mindset. See you next time.